Yeah. Yeah, so it's weird. I'll just continue my
Weird.
thought there. But yeah, the McDonald's thing is just it's a very weird thing, and I mean, okay, so McDonald's paid Studio D to make it. Okay, good enough. I think that. Oh, by the way, have you tried that McDonald's the sauce, the chili sauce? It's weirdly
Mm-mm.
familiar to me, and it tastes good. So, although I hear people do not like it, I don't know. I can't say.
Yeah, it's been a while since I had McDonald's. I try to keep that as a every once in a while thing, but one of my go tos is either the 10-piece chicken McNugget combo. I love their sweet and sour sauce, or if I do get a burger, the double quarter pounder is usually my go to.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it's like I'm a McNugget guy, and the McDonald's near me is this deal where it's like I get 40 McNuggets, two large fries for like $20, and it's like okay, that's kind of like two. It's like several meals during a summer evening for me. So it's like, hey,
Hmm.
I'm fine with this.
I just remember going down to Fanime in the mornings and we'd hit that McDonald's that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
And then just getting the sausage. I'd get a sausage McMuffin with egg. So I still will do that. And I'll usually throw, say no cheese on it and I'm good to go. That's a if I eat breakfast at all though. So
yeah. It's like I like getting their big breakfast, like two or three pancakes, some eggs, and like sausage patties. I think maybe even threw in a hash brown as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, there's a hash brown in there. That's right. So it's good
What
stuff.
about the
Huh?
what about the Mc what about the McGriddle?
Not a fan. I mean, I think I the first time I mean, I don't know how I feel about like the egg on that, but the
Hmm.
sausage on that, like if you did like McGriddles, like and it just had like a sausage patty, I'm on board. But like if you just had like the egg in there, like gross. Like I don't like my eggs to be sweet. It's like tamago for nigiri sushi. I hate that stuff. Like it's sweet.
Yeah,
Like sweet eggs, disgusting. Like please no.
yeah. I don't like Tamago either, but then the McGriddle though, when that first came out, those were slamming to me at the time, and
Yeah.
so get the sausage or the bacon, but then yeah, I'm like, yeah, I shouldn't eat too much of these. These are quite bad for you, but they're
Yeah,
delicious.
not health food in any stretch of the imagination, but does taste nice once in a while. I think I'd rather just have. I mean, well, that's fast food for you, right? It's like, hey, you can put it in your pocket or something.
I mean, it was great having
Hmm.
it at Fanime because you could just like go in there, get breakfast, and then hey, it's like you're full, you're set. You don't have to worry about food while you sit through all the panels you want.
Yeah. Sometimes you can do like I said for breakfast, you can get their sausage McMuffin with egg, and then if you want to go keto on that or paleo, you just throw out the other stuff, and then you buy like two of them, and then you just make like you just like a Flying Dutchman style. It's just like two sausages, two eggs, and just eat that. But that's a
Hmm.
mess. Nothing but protein, though. Oh yeah, we're talking about food. We're starting here, but have you guys gone to? You haven't seen the new Dune movie yet, or anything like that?
I saw it.
Oh God, no! Don't tell me then. Stop right there. I'm gonna stop you in your tracks. I have not seen it, and I want to see it. How about you, Myron?
I still got to see it myself, but what was your like one word summary, Jason? Like,
Great.
So, oh,
great. Okay.
okay.
I wouldn't doubt it, but
Yes,
yeah,
I
I
saw I
definitely
saw it with my dad, and we both really enjoyed it.
nice.
As expected, it's gonna be that kind of a thing. That's nice.
Now
Like,
did you and your dad go see Madam Web?
Oh God, no. Wouldn't It's like I wouldn't drag my dad to something like that. He doesn't have the same tolerance that I have for like terrible movies. If anything, I would have like gone to see it with Steve. But even then, this doesn't seem like it's like entertaining kind of bad. It just seems like the boring kind of bad. Like
Yeah,
we're waiting. Like Steve and I are waiting to check out the Beekeeper when it hits Amazon.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see that movie. Honestly, like Jason Statham action movies are awesome to watch.
Yeah, and
But
Statham has like a good amount of self awareness when it comes to like knowing what kind of movie he's in, and adjusting his style
exactly.
appropriately. If you don't believe me, go watch The Meg 2. That's a great time as well.
But I'm still upset. Like Sony wanted to push through with these Spider-Man Rogue Gallery movies. Like to be honest, like I am kind of hyped to see Craven. I mean that does kind of look interesting, but Morbius, Madam Web, like all these kind of like side Spider-Man movie characters, like I just don't understand like
It's
why
like outside.
proceed.
It's like outside of the Venom movies, like Sony needs Marvel to hold its hand in order to make a good Spider-Man movie.
Right.
Hmm.
So yeah, that did look like first dumpster fire of the year. But hey, Dune looks good. I'm kind of excited to see Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, Frozen
Yeah,
Kingdom or something. So what's it called?
Frozen
yeah, something
Empire.
like that.
Frozen Empire, right? Okay.
Frozen Empire.
Yeah, that looks
Mhm.
good.
That looks like something straight out of the real Ghostbusters. So I'm on board for it.
Yeah, it's like the trailers have been pretty solid so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen that many. I don't think I've seen that many movies, although yeah. Nothing in the theaters. No. I have not seen anything. But yeah, on the list is probably gonna see that new Kung Fu Panda. Why not? And then of course Dune 2.
What did you think of the trailer for Inside Out 2?
Haven't seen it yet, but I don't need a trailer to sell me on that. I mean, the first one was great, and I actually think that Pixar's sequels are like a lot better than most people give them credit for. So if they're going to back to the well on this, then yeah, I'll be there with them. Also, especially if Pete Docter is directing this one again.
I'm not gonna argue with you on some Pixar sequels because they're clearly good. This one, it looks really interesting to me, so we'll see how the execution is. But I don't foresee anything really being a problem with it. I think I'm interested to see it for sure. It's got it's like, how do you improve on what you've already made, right? And it's always a good question for Pixar because they can be a victim of their own success sometimes. But yeah, this is good. I think this will be good.
Yeah, definitely. So
what about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes? Am I the one who's seen the trailer for that?
No, I've seen the trailer.
That looks good too.
Looks like almost a return to form, right? Like
we've come full circle from.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, like the modern trilogy, like Rise, Dawn, and War, were all really good. So it's like the fact that so I'm a little nervous by the fact that they decided, okay, we're gonna keep going with this, but hey, it's like hopefully they got a solid plan for this, and the guy who's doing it, Wes Ball, did the Maze Runner movies, so he's got some credit for him, and apparently like Nintendo saw enough in him to give him the reins for this live action Zelda they're planning. So
yeah.
Also for that, I hope that this is good. But I think we may have already talked about that before. But yeah, I hope this one is good. That it continues like this current like Apes movies like hot streak at the theaters.
Yeah, I mean, I did love the Maze Runner movies. They were really entertaining, and I thought they were well done. And then of course, yeah, there's this expectation that continuing West Ball continuing this iteration of Planet of the Apes. I have expectations that it's going to be good. And then Zelda, obviously that's one of my favorite video game franchises, and of course, like I have high expectations and hold reservations, of it being what I would like to see, but if Nintendo didn't feel confident or faithful in this project, then they wouldn't want to do it. So either way, I think it's going to be entertaining, but I just hope they don't train wreck it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we got the Mario movie last year, so that kind of proved like, okay, like, they know how to handle these properties on. They're getting the hang of handling these properties on film now. So let's see how far they can go.
Yep, indeed.
Because I would still love to see a Metroid movie in the vein of Alien.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see for sure.
Mhm.
You could have a Captain Ed movie. I'm just kidding.
And it's like it takes like you're talking like you have to have like Marvel levels of success if you wanted to get a Captain N movie.
Indeed.
I would love to see a Captain N movie. That first they got to do a Mega Man and Castlevania movie, then a Kid Icarus movie, and then it all culminates into Captain N, the game.
Oh man, just the thoughts.
The young kids listening to this probably like, what the hell are these guys talking about? Well, folks, Captain N was a cartoon series in the mid to late 80s where a kid named I can't remember his name now, but anyway, he gets transported into the video game world
His dog.
by a princess and his dog Duke. Kevin is his name. Kevin gets transported into the video game world by Princess Alana because he is the best Nintendo player in the real world. So he gets zapped into this video realm with a NES zapper and a controller and goes to different video game lands to help the people and restore the peace from Mother Brain.
Teamed up with off-brand versions of your favorite Nintendo characters.
Exactly. And so that it was during a time where once Nintendo blew up in the United States, like we had cartoons, well, video games in general. When video games blew up in the United States, we started getting more cartoons of these characters like Hanna-Barbera doing Pac-Man, and like we had a pole position cartoon, the Donkey Kong cartoon, and so when Nintendo started blowing up, that's when we got the Mario Brothers Super Show and the Zelda cartoon, and those were successful. And Nintendo, kept dipping in that well of Saturday morning cartoon series, and they're great. They still hold a special place in my heart. I got quite a bit of them on DVD.
Well, I also get it's probably more appropriate to Nintendo figured, okay, we can sign off the rights to other people to make this successful in America, and that's that. And so apparently these people did not care as much about authenticity to the games. So which is why we get Himbo Simon Belmont in Captain N, and what like and like Chain Smoking Mega Man, Chain Smoking voice Mega Man in that series as well.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And a whiny Kid Icarus. But
yep.
But yeah, we'll see what the future holds with Nintendo's push into Hollywood and across all entertainment media. So the theme park seems to be doing well, and I guess like I'm not sure if it was in Japan or Florida where they're adding that new Donkey Kong coaster. So
wow,
like the Nintendo park stuff seems to be doing well, and of course Switch 2 on the horizon. So.
Yeah, happy birthday Nintendo Switch. You're officially 7 years old now, and I think of the other day, right? So
I believe so. Yeah, it came out in March. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. So it's turned 7.
Yeah, I remember getting it at launch. Like I got lucky because I was unable to pre-order it, but I'm like, hey, let me see if there's a line at this Target in Arlington, and sure enough, like very minimal people in line at 7 a.m. So I just hopped in before going to work and was able to procure one.
You know what tripped me out thinking about this, like for us Saturday morning sages, it's like, oh, it's yet another console for like people that are now adults, like let's say they're 18, 19, 20. Like 7 years ago, they were like starting high school or at junior high. Like this is like their console, right? Like this, it probably was like one of their first consoles. And that kind of blows my mind right there because I'm so old about this.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's like, oh, well, you guys didn't know, but through virtual consoles and obviously, and all the references, but like like you can a lot of people out there, their first Nintendo was a Switch, and I'm going, whoa.
Yeah, because like when I was 10 years old, like that was that was the NES for me and the Game Boy, and Super Nintendo was on the horizon. And yeah, to your point, like some kids, like 10 years old at that time, that was their first Nintendo console, and they got to experience like so much of what Nintendo does now and how they're creative now. But then yeah, with the Nintendo Online benefits like accessing NES, Super NES games and stuff like that, they might have been able to experience those old school games with their parents or themselves. And so I feel like the Switch is like, to me, like a celebration of all things Nintendo. Like you could see the DNA of the Wii U in it, like realizing where they messed up and where they went with. You see like DNA of the Wii with the motion controls and the evolution of the haptic feedback. You have Game Boy legacy, NES legacy. I mean, it's a celebration to me of what Nintendo is.
Hey, and yeah, more power to everyone whose like first console like is a Switch, because like you're kind of worried though that like this could have been like Nintendo's last console, it's like
Right.
before it came out, because I mean it was not, it was by no means a sure thing, because coming off the Wii U, everyone was kind of wondering like okay, Nintendo, impress us. And some people like were kind of like concerned when they saw exactly what this was going to be. But the games came out, and it helps that it launched with an all-time great Zelda game, something that basically got all the hardcore fans on board, and then everyone else like followed suit with all the games they put out later, including Mario Kart 8 with Deluxe, which was originally a Wii U game, but now is like the best-selling Switch game period. So
Yep. And that was like excuse me, to your point, like yeah, you couldn't get two strikes in a row. And Nintendo hasn't had two strikes in a row. Like one of their biggest strikes was the Virtual Boy when that came out in like 96, and then N64 came out after that, kind of rebounded them a little bit. GameCube, like popular now amongst retro and traditionalists, but it didn't it got overshadowed by PS2 and Xbox at that time and really didn't do too well for them.
yeah, it's also bears in mind remembering that whenever like Nintendo's like had like a so console generation, they've always had handhelds to fall back on. But
True.
they basically, and 3DS kept them in the black during the during the Wii U years. But apparently, like they just finally decided that no, we can't just keep splitting our console and handheld focus. So let's go ahead and put them together. And hey, worked out. I'd say it worked out pretty well for them this generation, and give them a solid game plan going forward. Especially since like all that everyone is wanting from Switch 2 is just bigger and better specs, backwards compatibility. But Nintendo's also, they're not gonna probably not gonna let it alone. Like there's probably gonna be like some crazy ass gimmick that that's coming with it that will either be hugely integral to it, or we'll just be able to turn it off, like the 3D on the 3DS.
Yeah, and that's one thing I love and appreciate about like Nintendo, because I remember like during the era of the Game Boy, it's like as Game Gear and all these other pieces of hardware came out with quote unquote better technology, like colored backlit screens, like Game Boy still had like the library. They were still fun to play, and that's what you always gravitated towards. But during the era of the 16-bit, it's like, oh man, I wish we had like a 16-bit Game Boy. And then thus came the Game Boy Advance later on. And then after the Game Boy Advance, when they announced the DS, like I thought, like, what is this weird touchscreen gimmicky device? Like it did harken back to the Game and Watch era for me, so I thought that was cool. But I just didn't, I couldn't envision like how this could be like functionally fun. And sure enough, like proven wrong, one of the best portable consoles that ever came out. And then to your point about the 3DS, like I love the DS so much, but then 3D without glasses, I mean, that seems impossible. And like, sure enough, like I came out and I'm like, oh, dude, I'm going blind with this console. I don't care. This is so fun and so cool.
Yeah. The DS when it came out, like I didn't immediately jump on it though. I got one used from GameStop and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is not bad. When the light came out, I had to have it. Like to me, it was a little bit more superior product, like in terms of like the design of it and everything else, you know. So it was weird. So I so yeah, I didn't jump immediately on board, but I think most people think when they think light DS, they think of the DS Lite, right? And that's what it's called, right? Like most people think of that thing. They don't think of the first version of it.
That's the version I have. Like you know, like that nice, you know, Apple-esque white, shiny white exterior.
Yeah, they took a few cues from Apple, right? Like because the iPods and everything else, and you know, it was like, oh yeah, this is a slick little package, and that's what they turned it into because it was kind of like not very symmetric looking, like when you closed it. Well, is the clamshell kind of a thing, yeah.
Yeah, I did have that one, and I got I got the DS at launch. I got the silver model, and it came with the Metroid Prime Hunters demo.
Yeah,
and I bought Mario 64 DS for it, and I think for a time, like there was like after it launched, kind of like the 3DS, they didn't really have any games. Like it took forever for games to come out, and so yeah, you know, I ended up like you know picking that up, and it's cool. You know, I loved it, but then eventually I upgraded to the Lite. You know, back when you'd go to GameStop and trade in your consoles and stuff, it's like, yeah, let me trade this in towards, you know, a Lite upgrade. And so, yeah, you know, that was like the pinnacle design. And I still have that Zelda one I bought off from you a long time ago, John. Like it's still, I still love holding it in my hands. Like it's just a clean looking system. And I love it more than the other iterations after that, the DSi, and then you had like the DSi, you know, XL. The DS Lite still had the Game Boy Advance cartridge slot and, you know, the DS slot, so you could play both those games.
Yeah, I have the I missed the Pokemon edition of the DS Lite, which was for Diamond and Pearl. And I really wanted it, and I watched it and watched it and watched it, and then watched the price go up higher and higher and higher, like new in box, like because they stopped like really producing it, and higher. And now I'm just like, it's like to me, I can't. Like I gave up on it a long time ago, but I do have my DSi is it's a black and white edition, Pokemon Black and White edition, so I still have that one. And I've tried to buy the Pokemon DS for just about every generation going forward, and I still have them. So yeah, yeah, my lights, I can see it from here, sitting on my shelf over there.
Now, which edition of that Pokemon DS were you trying to get?
Oh, it's the Diamond and Pearl one. So the original Diamond and Pearl. So I wound up later. I did buy. They did make a DS. I'm sorry, a Switch Lite that had Diamond and Pearl when they re-released those games. Was it? It was yeah, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl or something like that. I forget.
Yeah,
yeah. So I mean, I have both of those games, and I bought the DS to go. I mean, DS. Shoot, the the Nintendo Switch Lite to go with it, and it had the same designs on it. But I was like, oh, it's not a light, but oh well.
But what were the colors? What were the colors of
black? It was only black.
It was black, and then it had like the stamp print of like Dahlia and
Palkia. Yeah.
Palkia. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was a really nice looking console. I never picked one up.
How much was it going up to, like when you were trying to?
Oh, back then I think $350, and I was like not going to spend. And that was a long time ago. Great, that's what it cost. And new in box I think even from Amazon, like they were selling it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to spend $350 on a portable console that, that where I can buy like a full size console for,
Right.
So I said, no, not worth the squeeze. Right. Um, but let's see. now I'm just curious. eBay.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious as how much it's going for too, because like my Fire Emblem 3DS, goes for a pretty penny. But like there's so many different variations and versions of the DS and the 3DS that some of them catch that pretty penny, especially Pokemon ones.
Yeah. Well, I can't even it's it's showing me like light. Oh, there's one right there. Haha, brand new, $2,094.95.
Damn.
And new in box and everything else that goes with it. And let's see here. Can I? Oh, let's just share this all with everybody out there because why not? Here we go. Present. Share screen. Share screen.
Yeah, Myron's like, it's like, don't give up hope, man. 'Cause like one day I'm sure you're gonna be able to retire on your rare Fire Emblem stuff.
Yeah.
There it is. That's what it was. It came with. You see how nice it looks, though. I mean, it's a nice looking console, black, shiny, and then it came with the case, right? And it came with special mystery dungeon episode on DVD and so I guess it came with the DVD. I didn't even remember that.
See, I didn't pay attention to that because that was the time when I just got back into Pokemon and I did get Diamond. That was the first one that drew me back in the series, like months after all this stuff came out. So wow, that's crazy,
isn't it? And it's called the Onyx edition. And it came with the DVD with some episodes on it of Pokemon. That's just crazy. Like, yeah, and that price right there, yeah,
2,000.
Wait, so this is for Pokemon Black and White, and it's the Onyx edition? I get it.
No, not Black and White.
Oh, well, that's a missed opportunity then.
Yeah, Diamond and Pearl.
Diamond and Pearl, like the original.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, I guess. Yeah, okay, I guess that works.
Yeah. So. So yeah,
they probably did come out with a black and white console though too, huh?
What do you mean by that? Like
didn't a limited edition Pokemon Black and White console? DS? Did they ever come out with one?
DSi.
The DSi. Okay.
Or the black and white version, yeah. And so for the black and white version, they had a black one and a white one. So there. So there was one of each. I picked the black one. I was like, okay, so because it's cool, and I still have it, and I can see it right over there. It's also on my shelf, and it had, I think it either had, is it Reshiram and Zekrom? I think that's what it was. I forget which one is the one that goes with the black, but so that's the one I have. So, and I got a good mileage out of that thing. Actually, I haven't charged it in years, but I'm pretty sure if I picked it up, it would turn right back on.
Yeah, so I got my it's like my DS on my so if I should have my 3DS on my shelf because like it's good old backwards compatibility there. And if I want to play any of the DS Castlevanias, well, I'm all set there.
Yeah, I love those games.
Oh yeah, it's like Dawn of Sorrow. It's like high point for that series.
You know what I recently been playing on my 3DS, my homebrewed 3DS. There's an emulator called Red Viper, and it's a emulator for Virtual Boy games, and you can actually play these Virtual Boy games with the the 3D rotoscope, like the 3D scoping. So you give that depth, and it's like, oh yeah, man, like some of the, like, I mean, their entire
so this is what it was meant to look like.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like their entire library is like 15 games. So I got everything. And so like I've been playing Wario Land on that thing. And then I forgot what it's called. The Mario game for that, just the Mario Brothers game, and then Mario Tennis. And so, there were some fun games on there, but obviously, for reasons we all know, that console missed the mark.
Yeah, but did you get the weird Japan only like Lovecraftian like survival horror game they released on that as well?
Did it come? No, because if it's Japan only, I just downloaded the US ones. I'll have to take a look at that one.
Yeah, because like that's you hear that. I mean, I heard that this is something that came out only in Japan, and it's like, really? It's like you made this kind of game on the Virtual Boy. I mean, more power to you, Japan. It's like maybe if they had brought it over, it's like it would have died, less quickly. If they had.
Would have given it a little bit more life.
Exactly.
But it's funny. It's funny to me, like among collectors, like I see on eBay and collecting communities like people with a Virtual Boy and selling a Virtual Boy, and I remember when it tanked, you can get it for like $25 at like KB toy stores, and some of these people that are selling it for like $500-600 or more, or whatever. Like I still see that KB sticker on it, and I'm like, I know. Like knowing that it's $25 back then and they're, charging this much for it now, it's like sometimes I kick myself in the ass like, oh man, had I known, maybe I would have got one back then.
Yeah, I guess anything will appreciate in value if you let it go for long enough.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Yeah, because apparently, with this generation of youth, like, people are getting into retro media, retro technology. Obviously, we've talked about like everybody wanting to listen to vinyl and pick up record players again. Walkmans are kind of making a comeback, VHSs, and who knows, like maybe DVDs and Blu-rays will kind of stick around.
Did I ever tell you about that? Like how much it's like, hey, do you like records and you're really into that? You're a freaking hipster, man.
Yeah.
Like, no, no, never. And the only reason why I say that is because like records suck. They do. They're not great. I mean, I'll give you credit if you have a nice picture disc and you want to just hang it on your wall. Okay, I'll go with that because that to me is like something you can show off. But playing a record, it's a pain in the ass, man. Like, and I think CDs are way more superior. By the way, buy CDs. If you got music you like, buy CDs. Seriously, it's like any other media that we were talking about before, like Blu-rays or DVDs or anything like that. Buy CDs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I admit, like, I did buy a CD recently from one of my favorite artists, Logic, and because that was his quote unquote like last album at the time. But like I got rid of my CDs a long time ago, and only kept some of my favorites just because aside from my car at the time, I didn't have any other means to play music CDs. Like, yeah, you got your computer and whatnot, but the stereo system like you found at the estate sale, like I do want to find one of those again and kind of have like a standalone music player. And some people listening out there is like, oh well, why? You could Spotify or whatever. It's like, yeah, but you don't understand like the experience that those things gave us or just how like cool they were. So
I mean, it's another way of you preserving music. And I was all in on like digitals and MP3s, and I don't hate them or anything, but I still have a sizable collection of CDs. So, and I just recently bought a couple of CDs. So, which ones did I buy? Well, I bought the Weird Al Yankovic collection.
Ooh,
okay.
Nice. It's not comprehensive, but it's like his greatest hits stuff. Nice. It's good. Huey Lewis and the News.
Oh,
their
that's
greatest hit collection. I saw the ad for that once on a Midnight Madness, and I was like, "Oh, I have to get that." Anyway,
yeah, because like it was the one where he killed Weird Al Yankovic. Remember?
Exactly.
Yeah, it was like the whole like American Psycho parody they did for Funny or Die.
Exactly. It was great. It's fantastic. But Weird Al Yankovic, he's cool. You know, yeah,
I
he's
mean,
pretty cool.
yeah, I mean, you're not going to get me to doubt that. I mean, the guy's a living legend with everything he's accomplished. But just there's one thing about him that bugs me.
What's that?
You realize that this last album he released of all new material, like that was almost 10 years ago now.
Oh yeah, I know.
I don't know, it's like, man, it's like, okay, I get it if you don't want to do that anymore, but it's just kind of like, just let us know, man, because like, it's just like, I don't know. It's like, I guess I'm just maybe he's like realizing he doesn't like he's too old for this. That anything he does isn't going to top what he was doing, or that his last album, Mandatory Fun, like topped the charts when it released. He thought like, man, it's like it's never going to be bigger than this. He has to just go ahead and just stop. And okay, I mean, more power for that. But at the same time, though, it's like just kind of wish just let us know. Or maybe he's not letting us know because then we just like bug him to come back.
You want him to have a proper retirement.
Yeah. But I also get the feeling that maybe he's just not saying this because people would just bug him to come back people wouldn't let him alone if he stopped, if he just announced that he was done.
I watched a video where somebody did a retrospective about him, and they were talking about how he was like a lot. He had to work with like them to get their permission. Like Michael Jackson did. He did say no to some like one of his parodies.
Oh yeah, it was like he wanted to do after like UHF bombed. He decided like he wanted to go back to the Michael Jackson well and wanted to do a parody of Black or White called Snack All Night.
Yeah. And I think that the reasoning behind like him saying no is like, oh come on, it's like I'm trying to show something else on this. I don't really want it parodied, he let him do it before, so it was like eat it. And
yeah, it's like weird. Like I think Weird Al said that like the reason Jackson gave was that the song is very important to him. It's like it's like he didn't want to be made fun of, and but Weird Al said like maybe at the same time though he was also just like kind of protecting me because he thought that Weird Al was like, you've already done 2 songs of mine. It's like you should just move on and do something else. Like that's what Weird Al told himself, and so that's after that he went out to do. Hey, what about this new band Nirvana? Why not them? Mm-hmm. And that worked out pretty well for him.
Yeah. Yep. Sure did. I mean, I do remember. What was it, Dr. Demento? Like I remember listening to that. Radio Kids. Anyway, so people still listen to the radio. Coolio actually did not like the fact, like he kind of regret. He kind of was like, oh, you did that with my song. Gangsta's Paradise.
Amish Paradise, yeah.
But then I think he came around. He's just like, it's like, he came around to it after he's like, yeah, it's funny. Because I think a lot of people may have seen it like as a badge of honor, and I agree with that. Like,
yeah.
If he picks you to parody your song, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like I also know that apparently like Lady Gaga's people apparently told him no, you can't do Born This Way, like for his song, like for his new album. And apparently like he originally just reached the lyric video of this, basically like not intending to actually put it on his album because like these people told him no. But apparently like once she found out about it, she gave him permission because like you said, it's like Weird Al parodying you is like a badge of honor,
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. Good stuff, So yeah, I did get that CD set, and it was cool. Lots of cool on there. So very nice. What else? Yeah. So and then the Huey Lewis stuff, and then I was like, because I had Huey Lewis songs before, but they were all like years ago, and I don't know what happened to all those CDs. My ex-girlfriend stole them or something. I'll say that. No, but I was happy to see that on that compilation CD, it had like all the songs I remember, plus the stuff from the Back to the Future stuff. And I was like, okay, that's probably worth it alone.
Yeah, I think it might be the same album I have on, my Apple Music. You know, it's got The Power of Love, and then it's got Hip to Be Square,
Yeah.
and one of my favorite songs, This Is It. You know,
Yeah.
it's a good compilation album, and you know, I've been digging in the well with some of those old records too, like Power Station and
Power Station. There is no other like more 80s band than Power Station.
yeah, dude, like I got Power Station's greatest hits. I listen to a lot of Hall & Oates, like their greatest hits, because you know I love their their 80s cuts, and you know the quintessential Billy Joel, like you know, so that's kind of like my feel good music where it's like, oh, I'm stressed out or whatever, like you know I go back to the 80s and 90s well of like you know pop, R&B, you know, hip hop, that kind of era. But yeah, I've been listening to a lot of the 80s style, like you know Pet Shop Boys and all those old bands, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I was definitely more into metal and stuff, you know, in the later 80s, but there are other things that I was just like, yeah, you know, like I acknowledge the rest of the things that were out there, you know. And some bands that I hadn't seen in a long time, including hair bands like, you know, Rat and stuff like that. So it was just like, yeah, that's good stuff. But yeah, 80s music, 80. One of the things that I started doing on YouTube is looking at some of those old 80s videos. Man,
Yeah.
like the one I watched last night was the Final Countdown.
Oh,
From Europe.
nice.
Remember that? That is so hairband 80s stuff.
It's
And I remember,
yeah,
was it Geico? They made a commercial
they did.
with it, and it was like a guy warming up his stuff in the microwave at the office.
Yeah, I remember that
now. Just so much good stuff. I watched that video because I was like, you know, I remember this video being kind of cool, and then I watched it like last night. I think it was last night, and I was like, you know, this video kind of is not that awesome. It's just them. I mean, well, it's just them at a concert. It's filming them at a concert, and then that like a helicopter, like you know, like does aerial shots of them. That's it. Oh well.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
so what's that? It was not that great.
No, like yeah, I every now and then I do the same thing too, dude. Like just look at old 80s videos and 90s videos, and there's like there's a channel on Pluto TV, you know, where you just look at like they just play old school music videos. You just select, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite songs, you know, we built this city on rock and roll. That video is just so corny, dude. But I love the song.
Well, you know, the best analysis of 80s videos just comes from Beavis and Butthead, like the original.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I like when I watch some like and I've done the thing that you're talking about, and I would like hit up other ones, and I just think of like the Beavis and Butthead commentary like going off in my head. So it's that's like when I'm not saying like I've seen some of the new Beavis and Butthead stuff and it's funny as shit. But
Yeah.
like watching like the old ones and them commenting on the videos like just cracks me up and reminds me of a more fun time. Well, not that I'm not having fun in this age of my life, but still, it's so much fun to watch that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm thankful to kind of grown up in the era we have, like musically and entertainment and technology. You know, yeah, sounding like an old man here, but yeah, it's just kind of reflecting back on that and then looking at what we have now. You know, just so far advanced. Like often I think about like video game consoles now, if I were to time travel and bring those back to the past, like how you would just be blown away or shit yourself over Mario 1 and 2 that you're playing now and what Odyssey would become. You know, like it's just crazy to me just how like we've come so far like in entertainment. So, but I still like to go back and just, you know, go back and enjoy the simple things. Like I've been kind of like what you were talking about earlier about buying A-Team and Knight Rider, on Blu-ray. Like sometimes I just miss the era of like storytelling and television from that period.
Yes.
I've been going back and watching like a lot of old sitcoms. That's been my thing lately. Like I've been watching Who's the Boss because that's on Hulu, and it's like, dude, I miss shows like this, dude.
Yep.
So
I was watching A Little Taxi last night actually as well. So
Oh, how does that hold up?
it was on my streaming. Oh, you know what's funny as shit, dude? The thing is that like it's a product of its time, but the it's still funny. It's just like, it's like I think one of the more relevant and funny things, even though it can have flavors of like, oh, that's a little dated, is Cheers. Like Cheers is still like, you watch that?
Oh yeah, I'm almost through the final season.
Yeah,
Nice.
It's just good. I mean, it's like it's as funny as I remember it, I would say.
Yeah, and also it's like this final season. It's like it's great because they went and brought back like as many people as they could. I mean, like they brought Robin Colcord back, they brought Carla's husband back. In the episode I just watched tonight, Harry Anderson was back as Harry the Hat.
Yeah, wow. That was cool.
He finally helped Cheers get one over on Gary.
See, timeless stuff, So yeah, I want to go back to the 80s. It's funny to me that like today's generations, like they like look at the 80s and they go, oh, isn't that cool? And I'm like, yeah, I lived it, man.
Yeah.
Like all of it.
Yeah, that's why I got a soft spot in my heart for like movies and shows that kind of like portray that era or go back to that era, like Stranger Things. I just love the fact that it takes place in the 80s and you just kind of get taken back to being a kid, during that era. And there was a movie. Oh crap! It'll come to me, but there was a movie on Amazon Prime. It was like a horror movie, kind of like a horror comedy movie about this girl who gets chased by a slasher, and her friend built this time machine, and when the slasher strikes the time machine, she goes back to the 80s where her mom and her friends were first threatened by this killer. And it's a current day movie kind of showing a current day portrayal of the 80s, and I felt like they nailed it and did a good job where like they have scenes in a mall, and it just brought me back to when the mall was like the shit.
What you're talking about sounds really familiar. It's like it just came out recently, didn't it?
It came out recently, and it starred the girl from Sabrina on Netflix. It'll come to me, but yeah, this came out, I want to say like last year. Came out last year on Amazon Prime. So yeah, it was a good movie, but it took place in the 80s, and then of course there was another one that came out around the same time, I think, like My Best Friend's Exorcism, another Amazon movie, and same situation. That movie took place in the 80s.
Is it Totally Killer?
Thank you. Yes, it is Totally Killer.
Yeah, it's like I had to go back from when you said like the star of Netflix's Sabrina, and that's just went on IMDb and just traced it back that way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely worth checking out.
What kind of I was also thinking of when I was rewatching The Return of the Jedi, and I saw like the Emperor and stuff like that, right? You see him there obviously, but what it made me think of, especially with the 80s, was like things like Fangoria magazine.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Do you remember that? Like and it would like showcase like all of these like like all of these costumes and things that they made, like from like Hellraiser and like Friday the 13th, like just all of it, right? And it was like, oh, and I remember picking them up and like, yeah, this is so cool, and like it was just a thing. Like magazines are kind of a lost art in a way too, right?
Yeah.
Because that's another thing, but they had magazines for freaking everything because no one went on the internet. But
there was none yet.
But Fangoria like showcased all of this awesome like makeup and like costume work, and it was just, and it kind of made me think about it because I remember like even seeing like an issue where they talked about like Ian McDermott, who's the guy who played the Emperor, right?
Mhm.
He plays him in the more recent versions too. But regardless, he's it's like all that makeup was like cool shit, and I don't know, have we lost that? I don't know.
I almost feel like we do. Like like everything seems to be so like CG heavy and special effects. Like I felt like it does save money and time, I guess, to like go that route versus having an artist, do makeup on it, on an actor for like 6-7 hours. I still think there are some, filmmakers who do appreciate and use the practical effects, but when it comes to like major studios and stuff, everything's kind of like CG heavy. I mean, look at the Marvel movies, especially like Endgame and Infinity War. Like, you could tell like Spider-Man and Tony Stark's like costumes or outfits are like green screened on there,
Yeah.
CG'd on there. Whereas back in the day we had to rely on probably a metalsmith to like, all right, someone craft like this Iron Man suit, so
Yeah. Or well, I mean, even at that, right? So, like, if I talked about like Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy and all that, it's like they spent hours doing these guys' makeup, right, to make them look like all gory and stuff, or like
right.
or like Pinhead from Hellraiser. Those things are like everyone's like, yeah, that's so cool, Or even I can even fast forward a little bit, and I can say like, hey, what about Hellboy, right? Like not the new one. So I was at the anime convention over here in Austin. That was and there was a guy dressed up like Hellboy, like his
Mhm.
cosplaying as Hellboy. I was like, oh, that's a great Hellboy costume. He was like, hey, thanks. And I was like, and he's like, are you a fan of the first or the second one? It's like the first one, of course. And he's like, yeah. So, anyways, not the recent one. I don't know. I don't know if you guys have seen like or have any opinions on the second one, but or the more recent versions. But I don't know.
So like I did not see the most recent one with David Harbour
Yeah,
because the reviews basically said that, oh god, something went wrong big
yeah.
time here.
Ron Perlman.
Well, oh man, no Guillermo del Toro as well, but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Like, and he's a master at this kind of stuff too, right? So there's a guy who knows a look, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
so
but I heard they are like talking about doing another Hellboy movie, this time based on one of the stories set in America called The Crooked Man. Yeah, it was one written by Mignola, but also illustrated by the late Richard Corbin.
Hmm.
And for my money, that's actually one of the few Hellboy stories that actually maybe they actually creep me the hell out.
Hmm.
So if they can, so that's a good place for them to start for a potential new installment in the series.
Hmm. Did you guys get the Void Rival? Well, I don't know. I got my copy of Void Rivals, the first volume, and
Mine arrived yesterday.
okay, awesome. So I did read that. So I'm looking forward to reviewing that with y'all. But I like to give you my opinion on it.
Looking forward to getting it. Getting your opinion, I mean.
Did you get one, Myron?
I did not get one.
Okay. Yeah, should be an interesting set of tie-ins for sure. I did pre-order the Transformers version as well. So speaking of 80s things, right? Anyway.
Yeah.
But this is not something from the 80s.
Yeah, Kirkman's bringing it back, with all of his best buds, or at least like Daniel Warren Johnson on Transformers, which I am definitely on board for. I'm less on board for the GI Joe stuff because I don't. The guy who's writing the Duke and Cobra Commander stuff, Joshua Williamson's never done anything for me. Like as far as I'm concerned with his DC stuff. They did announce Destro by Dan Watters and Scarlet by Kelly Thompson, and I do like Thompson, so maybe I'll pick that up eventually.
Okay. Go. Yeah. So, Yep. So that's kind of it. I know we kind of bounced around from topic to topic, but it's you know,
What else is new, sir?
that's all we do, man. We reminiscing about the past, and I've just had more of you know, like the focus has been very much on, you know, that whole you know, like I said, music videos have been kind of an interesting thing. It's like I remember this one music video, and I look it up, I'm like, oh yeah, haha, that's cool. So around these parts, South by Southwest started because that's what happens. So
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard they're having a like they have a panel on the future of the X-Men there, which I'll look forward to hearing what news leaks back from there.
yep.
Are you talking about from the movie standpoint or the comic book standpoint?
Comics, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, movie standpoint, we're probably not going to hear anything about the future of the X-Men in the Marvel Universe until Wolverine and Asshole comes out in May. No, is it July? It's July,
said-
right?
Yeah, July. You say Wolverine and asshole?
Yep. Yeah, it's like apparently I think someone asked him like, you know, why it's like asked him why you know what Wolverine's name wasn't first on the it's like on the marquee, and like Hugh Jackman replied with the image that fixed things. He said, I got fixed for you, and it basically said Wolverine and asshole.
That's funny.
Ryan Reynolds is a funny guy. He
Yeah.
has a YouTube channel, you know, obviously he's a funny guy,
Hmm.
but he has a YouTube channel, and some of the stuff on there is kind of funny. So I'll just leave it at that. You should check it out.
Well, I mean, the trailer promises some good times. So, and you know, the fact that this is like the only Marvel movie coming out this year means that hey, they're putting all their eggs in one basket. But it's definitely a big basket. It's a big and well made basket to put it in. I certainly hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see like his part in, resetting or possibly course correcting the MCU.
Well, even if they don't, you know that, hopefully it'll be something that'll, it'll be this year's Guardians of the Galaxy from last year. What do I mean by that? In other words, people will want to go and see it. It'll probably make money, and it may even be really popular. Some of the things that the Marvel's MCU stuff has not been that popular, so this, probably could set them on a good trajectory. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but in other topics, that Metroplex you got is pretty dope too.
Yeah, it is. I'll be doing a review on it eventually here. I actually pulled out, I'm looking at it over there. Yeah, it is. I love the way that the panels all light up and everything else. I pulled out my Titans Return Triptychon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, man. So I'll be doing a comparison of it, but there's a lot more plastic in Triptychon than that one. So it's still cool though. It's a very classic looking Metroplex.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not perfect, but I like it. So it's gonna be good. It will have to do. And since I missed out on the original Titan class Metroplex, it was a little bit it's a disappointment, I think. So I was like, oh, I can't get it now I think that they sell, like, they reissued the Japanese version of that. It's like $900. I'm like, no, I will not spend $900 on that. Yeah.
For Titans Return Metroplex?
The Japanese version. So the Japanese version actually is slightly different than the Hasbro version that was released here in the States. And that used to be kind of a normal thing a long time ago. So the mold is basically the same, but they added extra details and things like that, and extra paint apps and stuff. So it was like the premium finish, if you will, version of Metroplex. So, but no, I'm not going to spend $900 on that thing. I mean, when it came out, it was like $100 here in the US. So I think you have that, don't you?
Yeah, I have the Comic-Con edition.
So you might have paid just a little bit more for it, but not much more.
Yeah, I think when it came out, because that was Comic-Con excuse me, I think that was Comic-Con 2013. Like, did you go with us? Where it was like me, Eddie, Dennis, Lucio, and his wife were there.
Oh man, I don't remember.
You remember that? Okay. Like,
I'm gonna say no, I didn't.
okay.
So
Because I went to that Comic-Con specifically to pick up that Metroplex, and I think it retailed for like a 150 or 160, but I didn't realize that they did the whole ticket system back then, and so I missed out on it, and I ended up picking it up from a vendor there for like 250. So I was like, yeah, this is the reason I came here, so I'll just pay the extra price, because I had planned on getting Metroplex, and then they had the US version of Masterpiece Soundwave at that time, where he came with all 4 cassette tapes, and he was more colored to the toy with the yellow eyes than he was cartoon accurate.
Mhm.
That was that Toys R Us exclusive Masterpiece Soundwave.
Yeah.
So
I remember that one. I remember that. I think later on I saw some guys just selling them for $50, and they had mega amounts of those. It's a good set, by the way. That Soundwave. I mean, that was a really good set. I don't remember, what did they do for Comic-Con last year. I don't even remember.
it was nothing. It was nothing as far as Transformers go. There was nothing spectacular.
That's a shame.
For me, like, it was more about the Dragon Ball figures, and I ordered those online. But yeah, as far as like,
Oh, I remember what it was. It was Ariel and Dion. So basically, their recolors. Actually have them. I did review them. That's right.
Who are
So Ariel and Dion's are Ryan Pax's friends that get shot and killed.
oh yeah,
And that was the one where this is the episode, because I know all this stuff for some reason, where the Ariel bots get sent back into Cybertron's past, and they meet Megatron for the first time.
I remember that episode.
And this is the one where I forget Slingshot or someone. He's like, I don't think the Decepticons all that bad.
Yeah, Slingshot was a douche. He's like, I believe in their cause more. I don't think they're all that bad. And then when Orion Pax gets murdered, he's like, oh, I hate the Decepticons. They're assholes.
All screaming after him and stuff.
And I think it was like Silverbolt was like, weren't you like kissing their butts like a minute ago, your buddy Megatron?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Just blew a hole in them, Dion. And people are like, well, Dion, because the other one became Elita 1, supposedly, in that context.
Mm-hmm.
And then Orion Pax became Omnibus Prime. But then they're like, Dion became something. And like Hasbro actually came out with an official answer and said, no, he just died.
Yeah.
He became nothing. Sorry.
Yeah, so when it came to those like Comic-Con exclusives, like, after 2013, they've kind of been like, meh, like Universe or Legacy or whatever lines of like Transformers I don't care about. So,
yeah, nothing to write home about, really. I mean, I got them because I was like, oh, interesting, because I kind of have a small set of like kind of what they've been doing, but they're essentially just recolors of stuff that had come out.
Yeah, so you could pose them with Orion Pax, like of them going on their lunch break together.
Yep, that's right. Right.
Before they get murdered.
That's right. Or I could just I set up a diorama where like Megatron murders them. They're just corpses.
Yeah,
it's sad. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, kind of like what you were just talking about. I mean, they're robots. You think they'd just be rebuilt or repurposed into something else, but it's like, nah, we don't need these characters. Like, that's Orion Pax's driving force to get revenge on his friends.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like, that's what you get.
They must have run out of energon and spare parts to even put the work in for them.
Yep, exactly.
But I did, I did see, because I've kind of slowed down from Transformers and a lot of other things, like just kind of mostly been collecting Dragon Ball, the SH figure art stuff, and then of course Macross DX Chogokin coming out soon, but I did see that the Studio 86 blaster that looks pretty awesome. Like, I think I'm gonna get that one too.
Yeah, so there's like this is so every Thursday they're making an announcement that is related to something with the 40th anniversary. Now I'll admit to you, I kind of flipped it on, and this one minus that little announcement, which I had already known about beforehand. It was kind of meh, I'll be honest with you. However, I am looking forward to the Wheeljack. That looks pretty cool from the Cybertronian version of him from the original series. That looks cool. And they have a whole bunch of things slated in their catalog to go along with these things, and I think that they've profiled some of this stuff on TFW 2005. They found entries, which is a pretty good indicator that they'll be coming out with a lot more stuff. Like more G1 stuff. Like looking at the lineup, like probably about 5 months ago, it looked like it was going to be a pretty lame set of things coming out from Hasbro. But now it seems like that they're really shoring it up, because you know what? Just think about this, Hasbro. People like that stuff. You should never stop releasing G1 stuff that people want to see, right? So yeah, that blaster does look good. But I have that blaster, but not in those colors. So
yeah, so that one looks pretty sweet. And then, of course, like Studio 86 Prime, I guess, is supposed to come out. So
I want to see Megatron.
Yeah,
I want to see him in his gun mode, guys. Come on, just do it. But I don't think we'll see that.
No, I think we'll still see tank mode.
Yeah, we'll still see tank mode. But yeah, they should really round out that collection and re-release some of these things. Oh, I know that they have like a 4-pack of like recolors coming out too. Did you see that?
Of what?
So they basically are recolors they're like anime accurate. So you've got like Jazz and they're just recoloring them to be more anime accurate. The only one and like Hound and
yeah, I did see that.
Which I have 3 out of the 4 of the figures.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they kind of get you to buy the 4 figures.
Yeah,
Hound is like the only one I don't really have, and I'm like,
yeah, that's how they really back in.
Like that sucks. So yeah.
But then, speaking of collectibles, like you picked up something recently too, Jason, right? Your first Big Bad Toy Store pickup.
Yep. Bernadetta from Fire Emblem Three Houses, because it's like I did not realize they actually made a figure out of her, and she's probably like the character I have the most affection for out of the entire game. But so it's like when I saw that they did this, I thought, okay, gotta get this. And I gotta admit, I was also kind of saw that they also have like figures for like the heads of the 3 houses, like Dimitri, Claude, and Edelgard, and other characters as well. It's kind of like, oh well, I have to get these to complete the set, or like nah, it's like just probably should want to stop at with Bernadetta, because just make it special, kind of like the only one I get for this. Though I did wind up ordering something else from Big Bad Toy Store that's not coming out until May of next year.
What's that?
This is like this one. It's just like this plastic statue of Marcille from Delicious in Dungeon, sitting around like and being surrounded by like some other notable monsters from the series. It's like I absolutely love the manga that's based off of, and the anime has been really good as well. So it's like
I just watched that. It is really good.
Oh yeah, it's like, and my only concern with it is that I know that it's supposed to run like for 24 or 26 episodes, but I'm also concerned that this isn't going to be enough at the rate they're going, because I think they're like up to like volume 3, and like they're only on episode 10 now, so it's kind of like you're about a third of the way through the manga, or actually not even a third of the way through the manga, and it's like, okay, like I understand, yeah, I mean take your time and all, but at the same time though, it's like, does this mean like we're only going to get like, is it just be like one and done, or are we going to get like a second season, like it's like announcement at the end, which is what I would hope. But yeah, it's like what Trigger has been doing good by the series so far. So I'm looking forward to enjoying it, like regardless of how much we get.
Yeah, it's very interesting because like my buddy Joe last week, like he came by and he's like, dude, you gotta check out this anime, and he showed me a couple episodes, and I was like, dude, this looks really familiar, and I do remember you raving about the manga, a while back. And I was like, oh, they finally did an anime of this. And yeah, it's just, I love it, dude. It's just interesting how like, the deeper they go down these dungeons, I mean, they have to survive. So, they cook up the monsters that they kill. And I have to say, some of these recipes actually look delicious. Like, where it's like, I'm like, damn, I kind of want some seafood, or like, damn, I'll make some steak, So,
yeah, absolutely. And like, and as the series goes on, like, like at first it's like it's a fun gimmick, hey, what monster are they gonna cook up this week? But then as you go further, it's like it starts being like a clever vector for like showcasing like character development and backstory for the series as well. It's like, how far have you watched in the series so far?
I watched what was available on Netflix, so 10 episodes.
Okay. Yeah. So you've seen the bit where Laios goes into the paintings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's when I say that they're talking about backstory. That's what I mean right there. Because like, trust me, there's going to be a quiz on what you saw in those paintings later on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was really surprised. I haven't watched really any new anime since Witch from Mercury, and so it's like I've been wanting to catch up on some of these new series that have come out and new seasons, and Joe recommended that, and I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty dope.
Yeah, we actually just started watching another new series this week called Ninja Kamui.
I've heard about that. Yeah,
I've heard of it too. Yeah,
this is like the Adult Swim produced series from Sung-Hoo Park. He's the director of like God of High School, and most importantly, first season and the movie for Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So on one hand, basically the series is about this ninja who escapes from his clan, goes with his wife and kid, and sets up shop and starts living in the American Midwest in the hopes that his ninja's old ninja clan isn't going to find him and kill him for deserting. Well, guess what happens in the first episode?
Uh-oh, we found you.
Yeah, and it's every bit as that first episode is like every bit as dumb as like that summary would indicate, but the action is really sick. I mean, Sung-Hoo Park can direct like really intense action sequences, as anyone who saw like Jujutsu Kaisen season 1 can tell you. But it's like we're gonna like this is like gonna be like some quality check your brain at the door type stuff, while we also just make fun of every like dumbass plot contrivance it delivers, because it looks like it's going to be, we're just gonna like feast on this idiocy so far. But also points off to Max, because when we tried to watch it on Wednesday, there was no Japanese option in the first episode.
No, one of those.
Yeah. However, it's like I looked it up, and apparently like, there was supposed to be a Japanese dub released, and so when we checked the second episode, there it was. So, I mean, like, yeah, like Max has really been knocking out of the park with everything they've done since rebranding, and this is just another straight hit in the face for them.
Yeah. I did tell you guys that I was watching that one anime, which is
it's like Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl
Senpai. Yep, correct. And I've liked what I've seen so far. I'm almost done with the first season. So, and then I'll watch the second season on Crunchyroll.
Gonna catch the movies in the theater that are this month?
Yeah, I think that's the goal, right? To get caught up to that point where I can just kind of watch into it, So I'm kind of waiting also for Godzilla -1. Is that it? Minus
Yeah,
zero? I forget. Is it -0?
it's -1.
It's -1. Okay. I don't know why I'm thinking -0. Anyway, I'm kind of waiting for that to come out eventually because I want to show that to the kids and stuff. So let's see. That movie's pretty good, which says a lot for a Godzilla movie.
Oh yeah,
Dope.
yeah. Oh, and we also finished watching Pluto on Netflix last week as well.
Pluto. Okay.
That's the anime adaptation of Naoki Urasawa's update of Osamu Tezuka's Astro Boy story, The Strongest Robot in the World.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Yeah, and it had a really good start that went past a lot of the issues I had with the manga being a science fiction story that deals with hard science fiction ideas about robots that doesn't actually want to include any genuine science or any kind of logic about its take on robots. And well, the manga certainly lived up to that by the end of things. Yeah. So basically,
that's fascinating, by the way. I just have to say, as a concept.
Yeah, and so hey, all I can say is that hey, if you believe that if a robot hates someone enough, it will be able to overcome its programming against being able to kill someone, you'll have a great time with this series.
Yeah, it's the it's like the core directive of robots, which everyone thinks is there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, should be interesting. Unless you have seen Bubblegum Crisis or its real grandfather, which is Blade Runner.
Yeah.
So it's not a new concept, but it is a fascinating one every single time, I think. If you could incorporate the elements of AI and Chat GPT, and it's like, hey, could it develop this hatred of you? It's a valid question, right? So it's a question that people have said, well, how do we know this thing won't be used for evil? Trust us. Battlestar Galactica did it too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, it's like unless you're like Knight Rider, and then the talking car is just your buddy. It's like a cop buddy show.
I think the Pluto is probably a lot closer to Knight Rider than it is to Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, you think so? Okay. That's fun. And then there's C-3PO, and you're like, what the fuck are you? Who are you supposed to be? Anyway, he's fun. I don't diss on the robots in Star Wars. There's lots of great personalities in there. So
That's right, meatbag.
Meatbag. Where did I see? Yeah, that's right. All right, cool. Well, it's been fun. I don't know if there's anything else y'all want to just throw out here. This is just random stuff. This is the title of this episode is to have fun just chatting around. So
yeah, for sure. Nothing comes to mind, just continuing on with last year's game releases and some of these current stuff. So game on, as Wayne would say.
Yeah, and I'll keep on that's a just outside the 80s kind of a thing. I think the Wayne's World was like early 90s, right?
It's 92.
Yeah, it's like 92.
Yeah.
Party on, and then when they were playing hockey in their apartment, game on.
Funny thing.
No, playing hockey in the street.
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah, in front of Wayne.
It was like car, game on,
game on.
That was a show. That was something that I saw a few months back. Was So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Oh yeah.
And I'd seen that movie so long ago. It's like me watching Happy Gilmore. Like I seen that movie so long ago, and I kind of forgot about it. And then I was like, oh yeah, the bad person is what's her name? It's Amanda Plummer, right?
Yeah. Was it Sherilyn Fenn, right? Or was it
Oh, you mean her name in there? I forgot.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot. This is the sister of the main character. And there's actually a lot of comedians in there because it's kind of a Saturday Night Live kind of a thing. Like, I'm not saying it is Saturday Night Live, but like it was one of those movies that had like all these Saturday Night Live alumni in it, like
Right.
Phil
Mhm.
Hartman and stuff like that. And there, and I kind of forgot about that. Janine Garofalo, all these people, right? I think it was Janine Garofalo. No, I don't remember. But yeah, pretty hilarious stuff. But just seeing her, and I was like, oh yeah, was this before Pulp Fiction or after?
I think it was before Pulp Fiction.
I think it was.
Mhm.
Pretty sure it came out like a year after Wayne's World.
So, and just as a sign off on this, do you know where Amanda Plummer I saw her most recently? Like as in entertainment and TV and stuff?
Where?
Picard season 3.
Oh,
She plays the bad person and not like one of the main baddies in that. She's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like, oh, it's Amanda Plummer because you cannot mistake her. She makes a good bad person. I'm just gonna say. Anyway, so any big plans coming up or nope? Nothing. No, you guys don't have to confess this. This is just a podcast where we talk about everything and anything almost. So, yeah, my big plans are to go and see Dune 2. That's my big plans.
You should do that. Then we should come back and talk about it.
Absolutely. And then read Void Rivals because it's good for you, right?
Oh, it's like that I can just do tomorrow.
Yep. Indeed. All right. Well, thanks a lot for joining us, everybody. We'll talk to you next time.
Laters.
See ya.
have a good weekend, folks.